Right then, so welcome to one of my favourite things to sow, and that is autumn sweet peas. And it's one of the first things I ever grew, and I was inspired by Steve at Green Side Up. I watched his videos, took on what he did and sort of adapted it a little bit for where I am and how I do things and the things I have at hand. Now, why would you grow sweet peas now? Simple reason is they'll grow over the winter, nice and steady. You have a nice sized plant when you're ready to plant out in the spring. And from what I've observed, the length of the stem on the flower is a little bit longer than the spring sown ones. So if you're picking them quite regularly, taking some home for the house for put into a vase, they're a little bit longer in the stem. So that's why I do it. And I also just like seeing things germinate, you know, and when there's not a lot going on now, you know, that anticipation of seeing if things come up, I just love doing that. So that's why I'm doing it. Now, the seeds I'm sowing are my own saved seeds from last year. Now, obviously, if you haven't grown them before, you just go out and buy a few packets of sweet peas, and there are just hundreds and hundreds of colours and varieties. They're just fabulous. Now, I've, like I say, saved my seeds, and all I've done is pick the dried pods and kept them in one of these fruit protection bags. And now all I'm doing is just splitting the pod. They split really easily, and inside are the seeds. Now, not all the seeds are going to be good, so I'm separating them out, and as you can see, the ones that aren't so good are in there, but the big, firm, plump ones I've got in there. Now, when I first started, I was all hung up, oh, you've got to grow them in root trainers or deep root cells, and I did all that. It was all a little bit of a faff. They made it easier to plant out, because obviously you've got the individual cells and you can open them up and take the seed out. But I found with these, especially for the autumn sown ones, is they dried out really quickly, and I had to really keep on top of keeping them watered. So I do use these in the spring when I do my spring sowing. A lot of other people will say, oh, plant them in toilet rolls, and then you can just plant the whole roll into the ground and that will decompose. Happy days. You can do that if you've got a load of toilet rolls, but what I do now is I just plant mine in 9cm pots, because I think most people have got them. There's no need to save toilet rolls or whatever. And as you can see, the 9cm pot is actually a little bit, well, it's not much shallower than a toilet roll. And having just the plants in a pot, just tip them out and plant them. As simple as that. I mean, some people use these deep cell root trainers, which is fine, but getting them out of these middle ones is a bit of a faff, because they're all tied together. So I just don't bother anymore. I just plant them directly into 9cm pots, and then they will go into a gravel tray. And what I do is put about 1 inch of compost just in the bottom, so any roots that come out the bottom of the pots could just go into there. And when I pull the root out, yes, you'll get a bit of root damage, but put it this way, I've never had a plant that's grown in these pots die. All right, so make of that what you will. And also, by doing that and using the slightly larger pots, because obviously there's a lot more volume in one of those than there is in one of those, it makes watering them a lot easier over the winter when you might not be visiting your tunnel or wherever quite as much. And I can get 20 of these in that particular gravel tray. So there we go. And all I do is fill this right to the top. I'll move this out of the way a minute. Give it a little squash down. There again, you don't need one of these, just use the bottom of another pot just to pop it down a bit, leaving about, I don't know, quarter of an inch, half inch on top. And then what I'll do all of these, because what I like to do is really soak that and then put the seeds in. So I'll just crack on, do all of these, and then I'll show you what I do next. Okay, so I've got me 20 9cm pots on about an inch bed of compost below that. The compost I'm using is just Jack's Magic. I've sieved it through a 7mm fine sieve, and I've also added fine vermiculite to this mix at a rate of 2 of compost to 1 of vermiculite. There again, the reason I've done that is to stop it drying out quite as quickly over the winter, because vermiculite will hold, I think it's 4 to 6 times its own volume in water, so it just helps it to keep these easy to look after by holding the water in. So that's that in there. Now what I'm going to do is give this lot a really good soak. Absolutely drench the pots. Just like that, and the water below. Now, obviously I've got loads of seeds here because they are my own saved seeds, and I've got no idea what the germination rate is going to be like for these, so I'm going to stick about 3 in each. Just space them out a bit and push them in. 3 in each, and hopefully we'll get a reasonable germination. And then all I'll do, any I don't want, once they come up, I'll just snip them off. Or you could leave them in there and plant 3 at a time. I don't suppose it'll matter much. So that's what I'm doing. 3 in each, just like that. Right, always on and do that, and come back to the next bit. Right, so there we are, watered, 3 seeds in each. You probably wouldn't put 3 seeds in each if you had bought fresh in a packet, because you only generally get about 20 in a packet. But I've got loads, and I've no idea what the germination rate's going to be like. Hopefully it'll be good, and so that's why I've done that. And then just cover over with more of the same compost. And this compost, we're not going to water the top. And there again, something I picked up from Steve, and it makes sense and it's worked well for me. You don't want these to grow quickly. You want these just to grow on nice and steady. And what will happen is, because we watered the bottom so well, the water will come up through using capillary action. We're not watering the top, so we're not disturbing where the seeds are, so they should stay put. And the moisture will set them off germinating. There's no need to soak them. No need at all. Water will come up through, and if they're viable, don't worry, they will germinate. So just covering them up. give them just a light press down again. Fill the pots pretty much right up. But one final thing I do like to do is just give it a light dusting of the fine vermiculite over the top. And there again, the reason I'm doing that is just to help keep the water within the pot, reduce the evaporation off the top, stop the top layer drying out, and just make my life easier, because if I forget to look at them or water them, they'll be fine. So there again, just a light dusting of vermiculite over the top. We haven't got to worry about watering from the top, so we haven't got to worry about leaving a lip around the top of the pot, and the roots aren't going to grow at the top, so we can fill them right up and give them the maximum amount of depth going downwards for their roots. So there we go, dead simple way of growing or sowing some autumn sweet peas. These will just be left here in the polytunnel. I know I'm down in the south, so it's not going to be stupidly cold, but they'll be fine. The only other thing is mice can be an issue of picking out the seeds. So what I've done in the past, and what I would do this year, but I haven't put it up yet, is I put up what they call a hanging shelf, where you've got a shelf suspended off the rails, just on some rope, with just a few planks on top, just to sit this on so the mice can't get to it. Or you could just put a bit of mesh over the top. It's only until they germinate, and then they'll be fine. I better just put a label in to say when I've done it. And all things being equal, if it's anything like it was last year, these will look great when they come up and I plant them around my living willow arch. So that's it. Simple sweet peas in the autumn. Don't stress out too much about what you plant them in. I find anything that you can handle individually works perfectly fine. So don't think you have to go out and buy specialist root trainers or deep root pots or anything like that. You can if you want, obviously. Once you've got them, you got them. So that's it. I look forward to seeing these coming up, and I'll bring you back to show you probably in about 14 days, I would imagine. That's how long they normally take. Right, thank you. Cheers and go on.